There is a particular kind of woman who enters a room and changes nothing about herself, yet somehow changes the room. Not because she is the loudest voice, not because she demands attention, not because she carries power that others can easily see. Her confidence is quieter than that. It lives beneath the surface, like roots beneath rich soil, unseen but holding everything together. Many people believe confidence is something worn like fine clothing, something displayed in perfect words, perfect appearances, perfect achievements. But true confidence has never been a costume. It is a relationship a woman builds with herself. It is the decision to know who she is before the world tells her who she should be. It is the courage to stand in her own story, even when others would rather rewrite it for their comfort. A confident woman understands that her value was never waiting for permission. It was never hidden inside applause, praise, titles, or approval. She knows that the world can be generous one day and indifferent the next. If she builds her identity on the shifting opinions of others, she will forever be rebuilding herself. So she chooses a different foundation. She chooses self-respect. She chooses self-knowledge. She chooses truth. And that choice changes the way she walks through life. She no longer shrinks to make others comfortable. She no longer apologizes for taking up space in her own existence. She listens to advice, but she does not surrender her voice. She welcomes growth, but she does not abandon herself. She understands that confidence is not believing she is better than anyone else. It is believing she does not need to be. Today, we will explore how confident women think, how they act, and the habits that allow them to move through life with strength, grace, and purpose. Because confidence is not a gift given to a fortunate few. It is a practice. It is a mindset. It is a way of seeing yourself clearly and refusing to look away. And once a woman learns that lesson, she begins to carry something no circumstance can easily take from her. The quiet certainty that she belongs exactly where she stands. Confidence begins long before a woman speaks her first word in a meeting, accepts a challenge, or steps into a room full of strangers. It begins in the private space where she decides who she is. Many people spend their lives collecting opinions from others and using those opinions as mirrors. They look to family, friends, co-workers, social media, and society to tell them whether they are worthy, attractive, intelligent, successful, or enough. The problem with this approach is that outside approval is unpredictable. It changes with trends, circumstances, and the preferences of other people. A woman who builds her confidence on approval alone will always feel uncertain because she has placed the foundation of her identity in the hands of others. Confident women think differently. They understand that self-definition is more powerful than validation. They take the time to learn their values, strengths, weaknesses, dreams, and boundaries. Instead of asking, "What do people expect from me?" they ask, "What kind of person do I want to become?" This shift changes everything. It allows them to make choices based on conviction rather than fear. It helps them remain steady, even when criticism appears or recognition is absent. Self-definition requires honesty. A confident woman does not pretend to be perfect. She acknowledges her flaws without allowing them to define her entire identity. She recognizes her mistakes, learns from them, and continues moving forward. She knows that growth is impossible without self-awareness. Rather than hiding from uncomfortable truths, she faces them with courage because she understands that real confidence is built on truth, not illusion. When a woman defines herself, she also becomes less vulnerable to comparison. The world constantly encourages comparison, inviting people to measure their lives against someone else's success, beauty, relationships, or achievements. Yet comparison creates a race with no finish line. There will always be someone who appears more accomplished, more talented, or more admired. Confident women understand this reality. Instead of competing with everyone around them, they focus on becoming a better version of themselves. Their energy is invested in personal growth rather than constant evaluation. This mindset also affects how they handle rejection. When approval is the source of confidence, rejection feels devastating because it appears to invalidate personal worth. But when confidence comes from self-definition, rejection becomes information rather than a verdict. A missed opportunity, a criticism, or a setback may hurt, but it does not destroy their sense of self. They understand that one person's opinion cannot determine their value. The habit of self-definition empowers women to live authentically. They are less likely to change their personalities to fit every environment or silence their beliefs to gain acceptance. They understand that not everyone will agree with them, admire them, or understand them, and they make peace with that reality. Their confidence grows stronger because it is rooted in something stable and deeply personal. They know who they are when the applause comes, and they know who they are when the room falls silent. They trust their own voice, honor their own values, and carry themselves with a sense of purpose that does not depend on permission, recognition, or approval from anyone else. Confident women honor their voice and trust their inner wisdom because they understand that one of the most important relationships they will ever have is the relationship they have with themselves. In a world filled with endless opinions, expectations, and noise, it can be easy to lose sight of personal truth. Many people are taught to doubt their instincts, second-guess their decisions, and seek constant reassurance before taking action. Over time, this habit weakens self-trust and creates dependence on external guidance. Confident women break this cycle by learning to listen to the wisdom that already exists within them. Trusting inner wisdom does not mean believing that every thought is perfect or that mistakes will never happen. It means recognizing that personal experience, values, and intuition carry important insight. A confident woman understands that she knows her life better than anyone else. Others may offer advice, support, and perspective, but they cannot fully understand her dreams, struggles, or purpose. Because of this, she respects her own judgment and gives weight to her inner voice instead of automatically surrendering it to others. Honoring her voice also means speaking honestly, even when doing so feels uncomfortable. Many women spend years shrinking their opinions to avoid conflict, rejection, or criticism. They may stay silent in conversations, hesitate to express ideas, or suppress their needs in order to keep others happy. While this approach may create temporary peace, it often comes at the cost of self-respect. Confident women recognize that their thoughts and feelings matter. They understand that their voice deserves a place at the table, whether others agree with them or not. This confidence is often reflected in how they communicate. They do not speak simply to impress people or gain approval. Instead, they communicate with clarity and purpose. They express boundaries when necessary. They ask questions without fear of appearing uninformed. They share ideas without waiting for perfection. They understand that confidence is not about always having the right answer. It is about trusting themselves enough to participate fully and authentically. Trusting inner wisdom becomes especially important during difficult decisions. Life often presents situations where there is no clear roadmap. Friends may disagree. Experts may offer conflicting advice. Circumstances may create uncertainty. During these moments, confident women learn to pause and listen inwardly. They reflect on their values, experiences, and goals. Rather than allowing fear to control the decision, they allow self-awareness to guide them. Even if the outcome is not perfect, they gain confidence from knowing they acted in alignment with their own truth. Honoring one's voice also strengthens resilience. When women trust themselves, they become less dependent on constant validation. They no longer need everyone to approve of their choices before moving forward. This freedom allows them to take risks, pursue opportunities, and remain committed to their goals despite criticism or doubt from others. They understand that confidence grows every time they listen to themselves and act accordingly. Over time, this habit creates a deep sense of personal strength. A woman who trusts her inner wisdom develops a quiet certainty that cannot easily be shaken by changing circumstances. She becomes more grounded, more decisive, and more authentic. She learns that her voice is not something to hide, apologize for, or diminish. It is a source of guidance, power, and truth that deserves to be heard, respected, and followed. Confident women honor their voice and trust their inner wisdom because they understand that one of the most important relationships they will ever have is the relationship they have with themselves. In a world filled with endless opinions, expectations, and noise, it can be easy to lose sight of personal truth. Many people are taught to doubt their instincts, second-guess their decisions, and seek constant reassurance before taking action. Over time, this habit weakens self-trust and creates dependence on external guidance. Confident women break this cycle by learning to listen to the wisdom that already exists within them. Trusting inner wisdom does not mean believing that every thought is perfect or that mistakes will never happen. It means recognizing that personal experience, values, and intuition carry important insight. A confident woman understands that she knows her life better than anyone else. Others may offer advice, support, and perspective, but they cannot fully understand her dreams, struggles, or purpose. Because of this, she respects her own judgment and gives weight to her inner voice instead of automatically surrendering it to others. Honoring her voice also means speaking honestly, even when doing so feels uncomfortable. Many women spend years shrinking their opinions to avoid conflict, rejection, or criticism. They may stay silent in conversations, hesitate to express ideas, or suppress their needs in order to keep others happy. While this approach may create temporary peace, it often comes at the cost of self-respect. Confident women recognize that their thoughts and feelings matter. They understand that their voice deserves a place at the table, whether others agree with them or not. This confidence is often reflected in how they communicate. They do not speak simply to impress people or gain approval. Instead, they communicate with clarity and purpose. They express boundaries when necessary. They ask questions without fear of appearing uninformed. They share ideas without waiting for perfection. They understand that confidence is not about always having the right answer. It is about trusting themselves enough to participate fully and authentically. Trusting inner wisdom becomes especially important during difficult decisions. Life often presents situations where there is no clear roadmap. Friends may disagree. Experts may offer conflicting advice. Circumstances may create uncertainty. During these moments, confident women learn to pause and listen inwardly. They reflect on their values, experiences, and goals. Rather than allowing fear to control the decision, they allow self-awareness to guide them. Even if the outcome is not perfect, they gain confidence from knowing they acted in alignment with their own truth. Honoring one's voice also strengthens resilience. When women trust themselves, they become less dependent on constant validation. They no longer need everyone to approve of their choices before moving forward. This freedom allows them to take risks, pursue opportunities, and remain committed to their goals despite criticism or doubt from others. They understand that confidence grows every time they listen to themselves and act accordingly. Over time, this habit creates a deep sense of personal strength. A woman who trusts her inner wisdom develops a quiet certainty that cannot easily be shaken by changing circumstances. She becomes more grounded, more decisive, and more authentic. She learns that her voice is not something to hide, apologize for, or diminish. It is a source of guidance, power, and truth that deserves to be heard, respected, and followed. One of the most powerful habits of confident women is their willingness to walk through fear instead of waiting for fear to disappear. Many people assume that confidence means being fearless, but the truth is far different. Fear is a natural part of being human. It appears whenever something matters deeply to us. It shows up before important conversations, major decisions, new opportunities, and unfamiliar challenges. The difference is not that confident women feel less fear than others. The difference is that they refuse to let fear make their decisions for them. Fear often disguises itself as caution, procrastination, or self-doubt. It whispers that the timing is wrong, that preparation is incomplete, or that failure would be too painful to risk. For many people, these thoughts become reasons to stay where they are. They postpone dreams, avoid challenges, and remain inside familiar routines because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Confident women understand this temptation, but they also recognize that growth rarely happens inside a comfort zone. They know that every meaningful achievement requires stepping into the unknown. When a confident woman faces fear, she does not waste energy pretending it does not exist. Instead, she acknowledges it honestly. She understands that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. This mindset changes her relationship with challenges. Rather than viewing fear as a stop sign, she sees it as evidence that she is moving towards something important. The nervousness before a presentation, the uncertainty before a career change, or the vulnerability involved in pursuing a personal goal becomes part of the journey rather than a reason to quit. Walking through fear also requires accepting the possibility of failure. Many people remain stuck because they are trying to guarantee success before taking action. They want certainty before making a move, but certainty is rarely available. Confident women understand that mistakes, setbacks, and disappointments are not proof of inadequacy. They are experiences that provide lessons, insight, and growth. Because they do not attach their worth to perfect outcomes, they are more willing to take risks and explore opportunities. This habit creates momentum. Every time a woman acts in spite of fear, she strengthens her belief in herself. She discovers that she can handle discomfort, adapt to challenges, and recover from setbacks. Experiences that once seemed intimidating gradually become manageable because confidence grows through action, not avoidance. The more she proves to herself that fear cannot control her choices, the stronger her self-trust becomes. Walking through fear also inspires others. When people see a woman pursuing goals despite uncertainty, speaking despite nervousness, or continuing despite obstacles, they witness genuine strength. It reminds them that courage is available to everyone, not just a select few. Her actions demonstrate that confidence is not a personality trait reserved for certain individuals, but a practice developed through repeated acts of bravery. Life will always contain uncertainty. New challenges will appear, circumstances will change, and moments of doubt will emerge. Confident women do not wait for a day when fear completely disappears because they know that day may never come. Instead, they move forward with trembling hands if necessary, trusting that action creates confidence, experience creates wisdom, and courage grows every time they choose progress over hesitation, movement over avoidance, and possibility over fear. One of the defining habits of confident women is their refusal to measure their worth through comparison, validation, or perfection. They understand that self-worth is not something earned through constant achievement, flawless performance, or approval from others. It is something that exists before any accomplishment, recognition, or praise. This understanding allows them to move through life with a sense of stability that is not easily shaken by changing circumstances or outside opinions. Many people spend years comparing themselves to others. They compare careers, appearances, relationships, finances, talents, and achievements. In today's world, where social media constantly displays carefully selected highlights of other people's lives, comparison has become even more common. The problem is that comparison rarely tells the full story. It focuses on appearances while ignoring struggles, sacrifices, disappointments, and personal journeys. As a result, people often measure their everyday reality against someone else's best moments. This creates feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Confident women recognize this trap and choose a different perspective. They understand that every person is walking a unique path shaped by different experiences, opportunities, challenges, and goals. Instead of asking whether they are ahead of or behind someone else, they focus on whether they are growing, learning, and becoming more aligned with their own values. Their attention remains on personal progress rather than external competition. This shift allows them to celebrate the success of others without feeling threatened by it. They also free themselves from the endless pursuit of validation. Seeking encouragement and appreciation is natural, but depending on it for self-worth creates emotional instability. If confidence rises and falls according to other people's opinions, then personal peace becomes controlled by forces outside one's control. Confident women appreciate compliments and recognition, but they do not rely on them to determine their value. They understand that approval can be inconsistent. Some people will support them, others may criticize them, and many will simply be focused on their own lives. Because of this reality, they learn to develop an internal source of confidence that remains steady, regardless of external reactions. Another important aspect of this mindset is letting go of perfection. Perfection often appears attractive because it promises protection from criticism and failure. Yet the pursuit of perfection usually leads to anxiety, hesitation, and dissatisfaction. People who chase perfection often feel that nothing they do is ever good enough. They postpone opportunities, overanalyze decisions, and become overly critical of themselves. Confident women understand that perfection is an impossible standard. They accept that mistakes are part of learning and that growth requires imperfection. This acceptance creates freedom. It allows them to try new things without needing guaranteed success. It encourages them to speak up even when their words are not flawless. It gives them permission to learn, adapt, and improve without harsh self-judgment. Rather than striving to be perfect, they strive to be authentic, resilient, and continually evolving. When a woman stops comparing herself to others, stops chasing constant validation, and stops demanding perfection from herself, she gains something far more valuable than temporary confidence. She develops genuine self-respect. She begins to see herself through a lens of compassion and truth rather than criticism and competition. Her worth becomes rooted in who she is rather than what she achieves, how she appears, or whether others approve, allowing her to move through life with greater peace, strength, authenticity, and unwavering belief in her own value. Confident women create their own path and inspire others through their authentic presence because they understand that a meaningful life is not built by copying someone else's journey. Every person enters the world with different talents, experiences, dreams, and challenges. Yet many people spend years trying to fit into expectations that were never designed for them. They follow paths chosen by society, family, or public opinion, believing that success comes from meeting external standards. Confident women recognize that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with their own values and purpose, rather than constantly seeking approval for choices that do not reflect who they really are. Creating one's own path requires courage. It means making decisions that may not always be understood by others. There will be moments when friends, colleagues, or even loved ones question certain choices. There may be pressure to follow familiar routes because they appear safer or more accepted. Confident women listen respectfully to advice, but they do not allow the expectations of others to become the blueprint for their lives. They understand that every meaningful achievement begins with the willingness to trust their own vision. This confidence is not rooted in arrogance or the belief that they know everything. Instead, it is rooted in self-awareness. They know what matters to them. They understand their priorities and remain committed to them even when distractions appear. Because they have clarity about their values, they are less likely to be pulled in every direction by trends, opinions, or temporary pressures. Their choices become intentional rather than reactive. An important part of creating one's own path is accepting responsibility for personal growth. Confident women do not wait for perfect circumstances before pursuing goals. They take initiative, learn new skills, adapt to setbacks, and continue moving forward. They understand that success is rarely a straight line. There will be obstacles, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty. Yet they remain focused on progress rather than perfection. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to gain wisdom and strengthen resilience. What makes these women especially inspiring is not merely their accomplishments, but their authenticity. People are naturally drawn to individuals who are comfortable being themselves. Authenticity creates trust because it reflects honesty and integrity. Confident women do not feel compelled to wear masks or constantly prove their worth. They allow their true character to be seen. They acknowledge strengths without exaggeration and weaknesses without shame. This balance creates a powerful presence that others notice and respect. Their influence often extends beyond what they realize. When people witness a woman living according to her values, speaking with honesty, and pursuing goals with determination, they receive permission to do the same. Her example encourages others to trust themselves more deeply. It reminds them that they do not need to imitate someone else to be successful or valuable. Inspiration is rarely created through perfection. It is created through authenticity, courage, and consistency. Over time, a confident woman's presence becomes a source of encouragement for those around her. She demonstrates that confidence is not about controlling others or seeking attention. It is about standing firmly in one's truth and living with purpose. By creating her own path, she shows others that they can create theirs as well. Through her actions, choices, and character, she leaves a lasting impact that reaches far beyond achievements, titles, recognition, or applause, proving that the most powerful influence often comes from simply being genuine, courageous, and fully committed to becoming the person she was meant to be.